close your eyes for a moment. Think about the last time you watched your dog sleep, and remember that sweet moment. The shuffling of her paws. Those naive and sweet sounds she made, somewhere between a whimper and a sigh. So adorable. The way her eyes moved beneath closed lids, chasing something you could not see. You have probably always wondered and questioned. Every person who has ever loved a dog has wondered. What are they dreaming about? It is one of the oldest questions in the human-dog relationship. And for most of history, science gave us an answer we would never be satisfied with. We don't know, and we may never know. Dreams, after all, are subjective. We can dream as much as we want. They cannot be measured directly. They cannot be reported by an animal who has no language for them. But that answer has quietly, steadily changed. The research grew. In the last 2 decades, behavioral neuroscience and sleep research have converged on something remarkable. We now have strong, solid evidence that dogs dream, that their dreams are structured, that what they dream about follows a logic we can trace, and that in the sleeping brain of your senior dog, something is happening that is far more complex, far more emotionally rich than we ever imagined. Welcome back to the Wise Claw. Tonight, we're going to follow your dog into the dark. To understand what your dog dreams about, we first need to understand how she sleeps. Sleep is not a single state. It is a cycle, a series of distinct neurological phases that repeat across the night, each serving a different biological function. In humans, this cycle is well mapped. Light sleep, deep slow-wave sleep, and REM, rapid eye movement sleep, the phase most associated with vivid dreaming. For decades, scientists assumed this architecture was uniquely or primarily human. Complex dreaming, the theory went, required complex cognition. It required language, narrative, a sense of self sophisticated enough to populate an imagined world. That assumption did not survive contact with the data. In 1977, researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology began a series of experiments that would take decades to fully interpret. They were studying the hippocampus, the brain region most central to memory formation and spatial navigation, in rats. What they found was extraordinary. When rats ran a maze during waking hours, specific sequences of neurons fired in specific patterns, encoding the rat's path through space. When those same rats entered REM sleep, the same neuronal sequences fired again, in the same order at the same relative timing, as if the rat's brain was replaying the maze it had run that day. The rats were dreaming about their day, not metaphorically, neurologically. The implications for dogs were immediate. The canine hippocampus is structurally homologous to the human hippocampus. The electroencephalographic signatures of canine sleep, the brainwave patterns measured during different sleep phases, are strikingly similar to our own. Dogs move through the same fundamental sleep architecture, slow-wave sleep followed by REM, cycling repeatedly across a sleep period. And in REM, their brains do what all mammalian brains appear to do. They replay. Matthew Walker, the neuroscientist and sleep researcher at the University of California, Berkeley, has written extensively about the function of REM sleep across species. His synthesis of the research points toward a consistent conclusion. REM sleep is not passive. It is not simply the brain powering down. It is the brain doing some of its most important work, consolidating memory, processing emotion, rehearsing social and survival scenarios. In Walker's framework, dreaming is not a byproduct of sleep. It is a purpose of sleep. And if that is true for humans, if our dreams are the brain's way of integrating the day's experiences into the longer story of who we are, then the same is true in their own register for dogs. Your dog's dreams are not random noise. The brain is doing its nightly work. The question then becomes, what does that work look like? What is the content of a dog's dream? What does she actually see, smell, feel in those twitching, whimpering minutes behind closed eyes? Here, the science cannot give us a direct answer. We cannot ask her. We cannot record the images. But we can reason carefully from what we know, and what we know is enough to form a picture that is both scientifically grounded and, if you love a dog, deeply moving. Dogs experience the world primarily through two senses that are radically more developed than our own: smell and social attention. A dog's olfactory system contains roughly 300 million scent receptors, compared to approximately 6 million in humans. The region of the canine brain devoted to analyzing scent is, proportionally, 40 times larger than the equivalent region in the human brain. Smell, for a dog, is not a background sensation. It is the primary medium through which the world is known. And social attention, the tracking of other beings, their emotional states, their movements, their intentions, is the other axis around which canine consciousness organizes itself. This is the legacy of 15,000 years of coevolution with us. Dogs are, at a neurological level, wired to monitor the social world with extraordinary precision. So, when the dreaming brain replays the day's experiences, it replays them in the sensory language available to it. Your dog does not dream in words. She dreams in smells, in textures, in the emotional signatures of social moments. She dreams of the particular scent of the park she visited that morning, not as an image, but as a full olfactory landscape, as real and detailed to her sleeping brain as any visual memory is to ours. She dreams of the feeling of your hand on her back, the specific warmth of a particular patch of sunlight, the social dynamics of an encounter with another dog, who deferred, who was curious, who carried the scent of something unfamiliar. She dreams of you. This last point is not sentiment. It follows directly from the neuroscience. If dreams replay the most salient experiences of waking life, the experiences that carried the greatest emotional charge, and if the most emotionally significant feature of your dog's waking life is her relationship with you, then you're the most likely subject of her dreams. The researcher Stanley Coren, a neuropsychologist who has written extensively on canine cognition, has argued exactly this, that dogs most likely dream about their owners, replaying interactions and activities shared during the day. The science of memory consolidation supports this. What is emotionally significant gets rehearsed. Now we come to the part of this story that is specific to your senior dog. And this is where the science becomes, for those of us who love older animals, both wonderful and tender. As dogs age, their sleep architecture changes. This is well documented. Senior dogs sleep more, significantly more than younger dogs. They also spend more time in REM sleep relative to their total sleep time. The cycles lengthen. The dreams, by all neurological inference, become longer and more elaborate. Why? The leading hypothesis draws on what we know about memory consolidation in aging brains more broadly. Older individuals, human and canine, have more to consolidate, more experiences to integrate, more relationships to process, more of a life to hold. REM sleep is the brain's filing system, and an older brain has a larger archive. There is something else happening too, something more specific to dogs. As your senior dog's other cognitive functions shift, as her processing speed slows, as her working memory for new tasks decreases, her long-term emotional memory appears to remain remarkably intact. The research on canine cognitive aging consistently shows that while dogs may forget a newly learned command, they do not forget the people they love. They do not forget the places that meant safety. They do not forget the emotional texture of a long relationship. This is not simply reassuring. It is neurologically significant. It means that when your senior dog dreams, she is drawing on an archive of emotional memory that spans her entire life. She is not dreaming only about yesterday. She may be replaying the smell of your first apartment, the feeling of a walk you took together years ago, the particular quality of a moment, now long past, when she felt completely safe. Her dreams are not impoverished by age. They are enriched by it. There is one more dimension of your senior dog's sleep that science has only recently begun to explore, and it connects directly to the themes we examined in our first episode. You may have noticed that your older dog sleeps closer to you than she used to, that she has migrated gradually from her bed to the floor beside yours, and perhaps from the floor to the bed itself. You may have noticed that she seems to sleep more deeply when you are near and more restlessly when you are absent. This is not coincidence, and it is not simply habit. Research on heart rate variability synchronization, the phenomenon we discussed in the first episode, in which the autonomic nervous systems of bonded dogs and humans begin to align during proximity, shows that this physiological coupling continues during sleep. Dogs sleeping near their owners show measurably more stable HRV patterns than dogs sleeping alone. Their nervous systems are calmer, their stress hormones lower. Your presence, even unconscious, even asleep, is regulating her. And the reverse is also true. Studies examining human sleep quality in the presence of dogs, including a 2017 Mayo Clinic study and subsequent research, found that people who sleep with dogs in the bedroom report greater feelings of security and comfort, and in many cases demonstrate measurably better sleep efficiency. Two nervous systems, regulating each other through the night. This is co-regulation at its most fundamental. Not a conscious act, not a chosen behavior. A biological conversation happening below the level of waking awareness, in the territory of sleep and dream, in the ancient language of proximity and safety. The dog who migrates to your side in the night is not being disruptive. She is completing a circuit that has been running for 15,000 years. She is doing what dogs and humans have always done in the dark, keeping each other's nervous systems calm enough to dream. Watch her now. If she is sleeping, watch her. Notice when the twitching begins, the small, rapid movements of the paws, the ears flickering, the soft sounds. That is REM. That is the dreaming brain at work. She is somewhere. She is running something, smelling something, finding something. The neuroscience tells us she is most likely replaying a moment that mattered to her, a moment that carried emotional weight, that the brain judged worth rehearsing, worth keeping. And if the research on canine attachment is right, if you are, as the evidence suggests, the most emotionally significant feature of her waking world, then there's a reasonable scientific case to be made that in this moment, as she dreams, she is dreaming about you. Not the idea of you, not a symbol of you. You, the specific smell of you, the weight of your hand, the sound of your voice saying her name in the particular way you say it when she has done something that made you happy. Your elderly dog is not simply sleeping. She is holding your relationship inside her dreaming brain, turning it over, filing it somewhere deep and permanent, alongside every walk and every morning and every quiet afternoon she has ever spent at your feet. She is not letting go. She is holding on in the only way a sleeping brain knows how, by returning again and again to what it loves most. This is the wise claw, where the science of your senior dog's inner world meets the bond you have built together across years. If this gave you something, a new way of seeing those twitching paws, a deeper understanding of what she carries in his sleep, like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who sits beside a dreaming dog and wonders. In our next episode, we go somewhere unexpected. Why your senior dog follows you to the bathroom, what proximity maintenance looks like in an aging nervous system, and what it tells us about the kind of safety she has decided you are. Until then, let her sleep. She's doing important work in there, and there's a good chance you're a part of it.